clean-headed, inside the final 150 yards, classical dream, and Teahupoo goes by, Honey
Hello and welcome to We're Going Chasing. We have a very special edition today. We're delighted to be joined by Rob Acheson of Robcour Racing. We're going to have two parts to this interview. The first, we're going to look at their open company hurdlers and chasers and a couple of bumper horses. And the second part will be focusing on the novice hurdlers and novice chasers for the upcoming season. So first of all, Rob, thanks very much for joining us. It's great to have you on the show.
Sure, look, it's great to be back. Really enjoyed last year. I thought it was going to be the only one I ever did, but sure, look, I haven't seen you in a while, so it made sense to hop on with you again and build away, go through. Hopefully, give the people a few winners.
Yeah, very good. You're out there in Australia at the moment. I know in previous years you've been heavily involved in race planning and that. Are you finding it hard to be involved this year? Are you taking more of a back seat, or how is that playing out for you?
Yeah, no, it's not really something I'm thinking about too much when I'm out here now. Obviously I am thinking about what I want to do with every horse, but it's the boys. We have a great team, thankfully. Robbie Power's heavily involved with Henry's, and he'd be advising on a couple of more, and then Gordon obviously has who I think is the best in the game, and Ryan McGilligan. So they're firmly doing it all now. I wouldn't be doing too much out here. I'm focusing on just doing the work here and improving myself, and then coming back.
Very good, very good. Before we look ahead to this season, can I ask you about last season? Were you happy with how it went?
Oh, sure. Look, to be honest, it was a fucking dream, really.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if I was allowed curse or not, but it's in there now.
Yeah, of course.
Killian is well used to
it. Yeah, sure. Look, we ended up winning. It was our best season by a mile. We ended up winning 5 Grade 1s, second and 4 more. I think we won 30-ish races total, with sort of 11 or 12 black type races thrown in there. So if we can keep going with that vein, where 1 in every 3 wins is a black type win, geez, you'd be delighted with it.
Yeah, very good. And if you were to look back, and if you were to pick out one day, we'll say that you really enjoyed or that you'd love to relive, would you be looking at the Hatton's Grace? Would you be looking at Aint? Which day really stands out in your memory from last year?
It's probably not one people would expect, but I got a lot of satisfaction out of Magic Days winning the Opera Hatton Ace, would you believe, in February, because I remember being away. With the boss, Mags, Alex in Auteuil last May, and I said, we were just talking about different horses, and I said, geez, I think this mare is a shoe-in to win the Opera Hat next year. So doing that sort of 9 months, thinking along that 9 months in advance, and then her going and doing it it was satisfying for myself. But sure, look, there were a lot of great days. As you say, the Hatton's Grace is one. I know you were there with me. It was a fucking great day now. So just because when you don't expect it either, I think there's a lot when you have a short price, there is pressure that comes with it. But I don't think I said no one in the race course thought your man would fucking win that day. I think the Silly Isles as well. The Silly Isles for Gerri was a good one from personally as well. So I was thrilled with that. But no, sure, look.
And you were just touched off. You were just touched off in a race a couple of hours before Teahupoo that day at the Hatton's Grace as well. And I can remember you were doing a strange amount of talking about Teahupoo, saying it's all about Teahupoo, and we were thinking, Jesus, the other fella had a much better chance. But,
I know. I
remember who was it on the day? Can you remember off the top of your head?
It was Irish Point. Irish Point
got
Marine National and the Royal Bond.
Oh, that was it. Exactly. Yeah,
that was it. He kind of Marine National, obviously best novice hurdler going last season, but when you kind of go into the Royal Bond, I suppose the last couple of years, it hasn't really been the strongest of Grade 1s. You could nearly call it one of the weaker Grade 1s in Ireland. Certainly, there's been a couple of weird old winners over the last few years. So when we were beaten in that after jumping the last, looking like winning, I was kind of cursing our luck, thinking, Jesus, we're never going to win a Grade 1 again. We'd had it hard all time, but for our start of 12 months. But yeah, so then Teahupoo went and did it and turned the day into a fantastic day, really. Like,
Yeah, very good. And then finally, on last year, if there was one horse that you felt really exceeded your expectations, is there anybody that really shocked you and you thought, God, this fella's much better than what we thought? Doesn't
oh,
necessarily have to be a novice now. It could be an open company horse who sort of took a step up that you didn't think had it in him. Or
I suppose Teahupoo would probably come under that category, but I don't like
okay,
saying
yeah.
him because he won a Grade 1, like. But
Yeah.
Any that really kicked on. Do you know who was actually a great old horse last year? Was Indiana Jones from Mouse. He ended up
Great
winning.
shout.
I suppose he was half the season before. He was nearly half triplets. Like, you didn't.
Yeah.
He seemed too slow for 2 miles. He wasn't getting 2.5 miles. So it was a fantastic training performance from the Mouse to go and win a Grade 3 with him and then get Grade 1 place as well. Like,
Yeah,
he got
yeah.
that. He got that in Punchestown. Now, no, it was a great bit of race plan by Mouse. He's the one that picked it out.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
yeah, no, it was brilliant. Like, he was a good old money spinner last year. Now, in fairness,
Yeah. We're big fans of the Mouse on this
course,
podcast, I'm sure you know. But look, we get straight into it, Rob. We'll kick it
yeah,
off with your open company hurdlers. And the horse I'm actually going to start with is Aspire Tower. I know, speaking to you a few weeks ago when we were planning this podcast, the plan was obviously the horse and jockey hurdle, which we're recording now on the Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. So the horse and jockey hurdle is tomorrow, and unfortunately, Aspire Tower doesn't have an entry or a declaration. Is everything still all right with him? And just what's the plan for him?
yeah. When we were speaking, that was the plan, all right. But like, it's that kind of came into the equation because he went away to the car, did a great piece of work. Then it was probably about 2 days after I was speaking to you, he went away again to the car and did an underwhelming piece of work. So
Okay.
rather than after that, after the time off, rather than throwing him into a hot graded race straight away, I'd say the plan is to go to Punchestown in about it's might be Tuesday week or something like that. There's a conditions hurdle. It's 2 mile or 2 mile 2, and he'll go there and you'll probably find out. It's easier to find out where he is if you go there because it's running in a lower grade. You don't give yourself the excuse of, sure, look, it was in a graded race. We'll give him another go to see where he is. You kind of find out straight away. So yeah, that's the plan with him anyway. Hopefully, I know he's had it hard all the time, but the last couple of years, but hopefully he can come back. He probably it'd be wishful thinking to come back and think he's going to be a Grade 1 performer again. But look, until he proves otherwise, then you just have to give him a go and see how he gets on. And he still seems to be enjoying the work. So once he's enjoying it, there's no point in retiring him, like, because he can spend any amount of years standing in field.
Yeah. He's still very young as well.
Right, we'll move on to the next horse then on our list. It's Teahupoo, the Hatton's Grace winner from last year. I suppose you look at him and, like, unbelievable season he had last year, obviously winning the Hatton's Grace, the first horse to beat Honeysuckle. Then he's ran away with the Presenting Percy Galmoy hurdle at Goran Park, and I suppose he was a small bit unlucky in the Stairs hurdle then. Didn't get his ground at Punchestown. Like, what's the plan for him this year? Is it going to be similar 2 races and then on to Cheltenham, or is there anything else you want to take in?
No, the plan is all right. It's certainly to start in the Hatton's Grace. I think it's probably going to be. We were kind of looking at it this year that look, Honey's definitely not going to be there anymore. Classical Dream, I'd say he was probably a bit more forward than we were at the time, just looking at them in the ring. So we were kind of thinking, look, he could have a great chance in it again. But unfortunately, Willie is after confirmed that Imperi Pass is staying hurdling, so I wouldn't be surprised if he wrapped up there first time this season, because I can't imagine himself and State Man are run against each other in the Morgiana, so it makes sense for one of them to go over 2.5. And sure, look, he's one of Alibi. He's a wicked good horse. So sure, look, we'll see we'll see what level he's at then, and sure, look, hopefully we can deliver again. Going forward then, it's you have the option of the Galmoy, but I think we might just wait, and go straight to the Sayers after that. I think he seems to be a better horse fresh. I know when Davy said he didn't feel the same horse in Cheltenham that he did in Gorn that day. And look, he's a year older. He's 6 turning 7 now. I saw him just before he came out, and I remember speaking to you at the time, and he's probably the horse that's grown the most out of ours. Like he nearly looks like a Gold Cup horse at this stage. Like he's bigger and stronger. So I think he could end up kicking on again this year and improving another couple of pounds. And if he does that, he's definitely the one to beat. He's definitely the one to beat in the division. And he could really, I think it's a division waiting for someone to stamp their authority on it. And if he improves like we hope he will for being bigger and stronger, another year older and wiser, then geez, he could really make it his own, hopefully.
Were you ever tempted to go chasing or anything like that?
No. Never even thought about it.
Yeah.
I think if last season didn't go as it did, where you win a grade 1, you win a grade, the Galmoy's grade 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then look, the Stayers, it was a funny old race. I actually think the best horse in the day won. I think we didn't run to our best in it. And then Punchestown, look, it was quicker ground. I still think he actually ran a blinder in Punchestown because he didn't, like, people say, oh, sure, the ground is everything to him. If he doesn't get his ground, he might have only been beaten 3 or 4 lengths after running consistently well all season, and then on ground he supposedly hates. He still ran a wicked race. So I'd say, again, if he is bigger and stronger, so he could improve on that ground as well. I wouldn't be writing him off as just a fucking mudlark. Like,
yeah,
I think it'd be a dangerous game to do that.
That's good news. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully it opens more doors as well for you ground wise. So we move on to the next one. Another really consistent horse from last year, Irish Point. Obviously, we spoke about the Royal Bond. He was an unlucky loser, having bumped into, as you said, the best novice hurdler really from last year, in Marine National, second in the Lawlers, then to Champ Kiley, winner of a Grade 3 in Naas, and then obviously the big one, the Grade 1 in Aintree, and Davy Russell's last Grade 1 as well. So that's a pretty cool thing too. So he's staying over hurdles this year, I believe. So what's the plan with him?
Yeah, he is staying over hurdles. It's funny. I think I actually mentioned it on the podcast last year that my favorite horse in training that wasn't ours was Durasso, because he's a great all money spinner. He always runs his races, and I think with Irish Point, I think if people might be thinking, oh, sure, look, he's obviously not schooled well over fences, and that's why they're keeping him hurdling. He actually hasn't schooled over fences at all. It's one of those, like, there's just, to be fair to the lads, I think I was in favour of it, but it wasn't really my idea. The lads have pointed out that there's a good few races he could end up winning, like. So I'd say he's probably going to start in the WKD hurdling down Royal. After that, then you get the option of going a couple of places. If you didn't start there, if you just missed that for some reason, you've the Lismullen and Navan, you've the Hatton's Grace. Once he gets his first run, if he goes well, you can nearly step him up to 3 mile for the Christmas hurdle in Leopardstown, like, because it's just about finding races that you can be competitive in and go well in. And I think he could be a great all money spinner. Like, even if he didn't get the 3 miles, he could be a perfect horse for, say, a Red Mills hurdle in Gorn in February. Like, there's just that he has probably more options there in terms of, like, he seems to be fairly versatile over trip wise. So I think he's best at 2.5 myself, but he's still been competitive. He's won a Grade 3 over 2 miles. He was second in a grade 1 over 2 miles. Like, he's another one that he was kind of a bit raw last year. Like, he was kind of learning on the job the whole time. I remember he is, when he gets it right, he's a really slick hurdler. There was the day in Naas, in the Lawlers. He didn't jump particularly well, but he ended up winning. He really kicked on after that and grew up and kind of matured. And I think, there's plenty of races in him. And if you remember, I picked him out as my horse to follow for you last year. So a Grade 1 winner. It's I hopefully I can provide another one this year, but I wouldn't be have my hopes too high.
And obviously he's ground versatile enough. Like, he's probably a small bit better with the cutting the ground.
Yeah, the only race he ran poorly in last year would have been the 2 mile race, the 2 mile novice race at DRF. And I think he would be versatile ground wise, but I just think on quicker ground over 2 miles, they'll probably just go too quick for him.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that will really take him out of his comfort zone. Other than that, I think when he steps up and trip on better ground, I don't think it's not going to make too much of a difference. He'll be able to handle it. So look, hopefully he can be a good old money spinner this year and pick up a good few more races.
Yeah, and another horse from last year, a novice last year that's staying over hurdles, is Absolute Notions. He had some quite good form last year, but was probably unlucky to bump into the likes of In the Pocket and Goodland. You've decided to stay hurdling with this fella anyway?
Yeah, we have. It's one of those. He's like, the two of them are only 5 turns 6. I think Notions, he actually did school over fences, and to be fair to him, I have a couple of videos of him here, and he's good and brave, and he's fairly wings him. But it's just, we think having the extra year over hurdles for him might be no harm. Like, it's he ran, as you said, he ran well in a couple of races. He is one, though, I do think he'd be quite ground dependent now. He's a good ground horse. If there's a bit of cut, like, it's the race in Naas, while he finished 4th that day, I think, in
third, behind in the 3K break,
yeah, that was it. And he just couldn't. Jack came in off him and just said no, he couldn't get out of the ground. So while he went off, he then ran a blinder in Leopardstown. I know a lot of people are tipping up Goodland and Sandor Clegane for big and better things this year, but that hasn't been spoken about too much. But it's one of those, you don't really mind that, but he could have a good handicap in him somewhere. Like, there's plenty of options for 3 mile handicaps around the place, and hopefully he has the improvement we think he will. And I think 3 miles will really get the best out of him. Aintree didn't really work, but I remember saying at the time to a couple of people, if the rain came in Aintree and the ground went against him, and sure, look, it happens, but we would have rather the rain came and take him out of it than the rain didn't come and put more pressure on Gerri and Irish Point that week. That started a couple of days, so it was one we took with open arms, even though it was probably to the poor old Absolute Notions' detriment.
Yeah, very good, very good. We'll move on from there, so onto our open company chasers, and we're going to start with Mouse again and Gentleman's Game. Actually, we were speaking about Irish Point. Gentleman's Game was a horse that you gave us as the Cheltenham anti-post pick at 33-1, and he unfortunately only got out once, but he showed a level of form that he could have been very competitive in an RSA. He's obviously going to step into open company chases now this year. He's surely one you're very excited about.
He is, yeah. It's funny when you actually look at it. I think he won by about 8 lengths that day in Leopardstown, and I remember I was telling everyone that week. He's the bet of the Christmas for us. Like, he's riddled with talent. I know he's just a bit injury prone, which is just something we're going to have to mind. But in terms of where we want to go, I think you kind of have to. He's going to be tough to try, and you're going to have to campaign him like a Grade 1 horse, really, because the level of form he's at now. He's ran once. He beat I Am Maximus, who won the Irish National by about 6 or 8 lengths. He won handy enough that day. I know he's rated the mid to high 150s now, so it's not. You're not going to get a mark of sort of 145 from like if he runs poorly. So I think you're just going to have to fucking campaign him like a Grade 1 horse and see how he gets on. I still think, I think I agree with you. he certainly had the talent to be banged there in an RSA last year, or a Brown advisory even. And look, he's declared today for people wondering, recording the day of the last day of September when the PWC Champion Chase is on in Goran. And look, it's funny, I was telling people today, he's a good ground horse. It's a trip way too short for him. He's a definite 3-miler. He's up against the Ryanair winner. He's up against one of the winning most horses in Willie Mullins' yard. But I still have myself convinced that he's so talented, he'd have a chance. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like there's absolutely nothing going in his favor today.
Nothing.
But I have so much faith in the horse that I think he could give it a rattle, if you get me. Like, he'll probably go and run stink now and be beaten 40 lengths. But no, that's just how much faith I have in the horse. I know he was the horse I was most excited about last year. It's a pity he's not a novice anymore after only getting the beginners into him. But look, he's a really, really good horse. He's really, really talented. He's with the right man. He's taking his time with him. He's a proper mouse horse. Like, he's a real mouse horse, and hopefully he'll end up thriving. Whether it be, he mightn't be a Gold Cup horse. He might end up being, say, a Betway Bowl horse or something like that. Or even there's plenty of grade 2s if he doesn't live up to that level. Like, there's any amount you can do with him. So look, he's with the right man. Hopefully he can put himself his best foot forward today. But as I said, there's not much going in his favor. But hopefully we can kick on with him this year now, and he gets a clean run of it.
Fingers crossed. I'll be there myself anyway, shouting him on. So fingers crossed for him is right. Moving on from there, we're staying with the Great Mouse and French Dynamite. You told us again, and we put it out on the same tweet as Aspire Tower, that the plan was to go to New York for the American Grand National. He's a horse last year who, was only bet 5 or 6 lengths in a Ryanair by Envoy Allen. He's still only 8, which is bizarre because it feels like he's been around an awful long time. But he's been a great servant, and I'm sure he's going to continue to be a great servant. But looking at the American Grand National, is that still the plan?
Oh, it is. Yeah, Jesus, it's one that we came up with sort of last March, even after the Ryanair. But it's funny. It's a race I've always wanted to win. Since Jury Duty won it for Gordon a couple of years ago, I thought, Jesus, that'd be class to go over and have a chance of winning a grade 1 that's worth a good few quid in America. Like, so look, thankfully we have the right type of horse for it. He's a good ground horse. He's really consistent. He just didn't particularly get the bounce of the ball last year in terms of the big races. Like, he ran a blinder in the Paddy Power. He just happened to miss the last, really, which I think he probably would have got. I think Galaw probably would have won, but I think it's hard. It's harsh to say we would have beaten him. I think he probably still would have won, but we would have been an awful lot closer. Then he won over hurdles. He ran a blinder in the Ryanair. Didn't run well in Thurles. He was going to be competitive, but he came down. He still would have been beaten that day. And look, when Mouse has a day in mind, the horse is ready for the day. So look, he should. It's going to be tough to beat. If Hewitt comes back in the form he was last year, he'll be a tough horse to beat. But if I certainly wouldn't be swapping our lad for anyone in the race, really.
Yeah, and longer term, would you be thinking the Ryanair again? Because both trips he's taken to Cheltenham, both last season, were possibly his best 2 performances. He seems to go quite well there at Cheltenham. Yeah,
he does. He's ran a blinder both times, really. I know he's a horse Dara really gets on well with. They just click, if you get me. Like, they know each other like the back of their hands. So yeah, look, it's the 2 runs at Cheltenham. They're both blinders, but to be honest, we haven't really thought about anything beyond the States yet. I think that's been the target for so long now that if you go start looking at other races for him, you can only really do it after he comes out. But with the travel, you have to see how he comes out, but whether he needs a break after it, because I know he wouldn't. He was in our place. He was in our place over the summer now, and Keith O'Brien, who's a big part of our team, mine looked after him excellently, and he went back in great condition. But he can be a bit of a Fruit Loop at times. Like, he can be a bit of a nutter. Like, so it's we'll see, and hopefully he travels well. And if he does, he should have a great chance. But no, haven't looked at anything beyond that yet.
Very good.
So the next one on our list, and staying with Mouse Morris for one more time, is a horse you alluded to earlier, Indiana Jones. He did a busy campaign last year, ran 7 times with a couple of wins, won a beginners and won a grade 3, like beat subsequent grade 1 winner Flame Bearer that day as well up in Navan. Obviously came third in the grade 1 then behind El Fabiolo in Punchestown. He's tried a couple of different trips last year, and it sort of seems you've landed on 2 miles. Suppose being a brother to French Dynamite and Mighty Potter, is there a chance he'll go up in trip, or do you see him staying at 2 miles?
He'll stay at 2 miles actually. It's probably one of the more out there targets so far, but he's going to go for the Halden Gold Cup in Exeter. The handicap there, the grade 2 handicap. I think that kind of race, it'll really suit him. And sure, look, that's the one day he's been trained in mind for. So he'll be turning up bang on for it. And after that, again, we haven't really looked at it, because that's the day for him. We think. I know, like, there's been a couple of really classy winners of it the last couple of years, so you could end up bumping into a very good one. But sure, look, that's why it's a handicap. It gives you a chance no matter what. It's weighted so they all finish in a line basically. So sure, look, hopefully we have a couple more pound in hand. Good job.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so we'll move on from the Mouse and move over to Henry. So the first one here is a Journey with Me, grade 3 winning novice chaser from last year, second to Very Smart Mare and Impervious, and another grade 3. Obviously came down in a race run by Farinilli in Punchestown. He's got a mark of 151. Where does that leave him sit this year?
Yeah, it's one of those that he's a horse that really frustrates you at times, like, because he certainly has ability, but he doesn't often put his best foot forward. Like, he'd be fond of an old fall every now and again. Like, I think he wouldn't be the best jumper in the world, but it's one of those. We think we might have found what his issue was for wanting to run away the whole time rather than not getting into a rhythm. So hopefully we can kick on a bit. I think mark wise off 151, you wouldn't qualify for a Paddy Power or anything like that. So Jesus, I couldn't see him going over to a Hennessy or anything like that. Even though he'd probably be weighted to go well in it. It's one of those, again, we're probably going to have to campaign him as a grade 1 horse and see where you fall in the pecking order then. Like, he's just a tough one. He's a tough one to go to where to aim for. I'd say he'll probably end up starting off in the second season Chasers, the Wexford race.
The one Manila Indo one.
Yeah, that's the one. There's been a couple of good horses from Henry's have gone there, so I'd say that'll probably be penciled in as his, or else you could go to Down Royal for the second season Chasers race over 2.5 as well.
Yeah.
And look, there's a couple of options for him, but we'll be campaigning him as a grade 1 horse and then see where we fall in the pecking order. But it's not when I say campaign him as a grade 1 horse, just so the viewers know, that doesn't mean I think he's a grade 1 horse. It's just to find out where you stand.
Yeah. And you started off with Journey with Me saying that he's a horse that has frustrated you possibly. I can imagine that Ain't That a Shame is potentially one that could fall into that category as well. He really looked like he was going to win a big handicap for you. Looking back to the Munster National last year, like, he was up against the big dog there. The big dog was rated 140 that day, and obviously was rated 159 at the end of last season, and is no longer with us. But I'm sure you're still hopeful of a big pot in him. There's surely one in him.
I'm half starting to give up on him now. He just seems to hate winning, really. he seems to hate winning. He looked in the Munster National, he made a Horlicks of the last, and then made a Horlicks of the last when he was probably going to win, and which allowed the big dog to come and win it. Like, and then, he looked like it was a matter of when he ran into Paddy Power, turn it in, you would have thought how far. Like,
Yeah,
if you actually go and watch it back, it looks like he is
yeah.
going to win. It looks like he's going to win by 20 lengths and somehow finish the fourth.
Yeah.
You could say he's probably a stronger traveler than he is. He's probably it looks like he's traveling better than he is more left in the tank than he actually does. But no, I just think it's one of those for people punting him. Like, he's gonna go to the Tri-Town now, hopefully give that a go, and then go to the Paddy Power again. If he doesn't win the Tri-Town, he still has the mark to go to the Paddy Power. He probably will. Like, but the Tri-Town is the aim at the moment. We won it a couple of years ago with Chris's Dream. That was a great holiday, and sure, look, we'll see. But I wouldn't be advising anyone to put money on him now. He just really, really does not enjoy winning races.
Yeah, he got £7 that day too for being second to the big dog, but it didn't stop him. When it came around to Leopardstown or Christmas, he still put in a fair performance, and just, I don't know. Look,
he's just a weird old horse. Like,
maybe
I know if he could actually end up, if you're a punter at home and you backed him a couple of times, I'd say you'd hate the sight of him. Absolutely despise him. Like,
maybe when everybody gives up on him,
he was going well to a point in the stall. He missed the third last, and they kind of got away from him then. So I know he finished 9th, but I think we hope he has a handicap.
Yeah.
A handicap coming this season, but it's the longer, like, he's older than you think as well. He missed a couple of years through injury. So is he 9 turning 10 now?
He is.
So he's kind of running out of time at the same at this stage. If you don't really get one, if you don't really get one this side of Christmas, I'd be worried about getting one at all. Like, he was punted in the Grand National. I don't actually know where that money came from. I'd say it might have been the Rachel factor a bit. And he looked like he was going really well, and then just happened. He was traveling really well. He was jumping really well, crossed the Melling Road, and just emptied. He didn't get the trip. So it's kind of, look, he might
maybe
for an Irish
maybe someday when someday when everybody's given up on him and he's about 33 or 40.
Oh, that's it. That's going to be it. One day you don't expect him to run well, he'll win.
Yeah. One horse that I certainly haven't given up on then, Bob Olinger. Back over hurdles last year. That first race wasn't devoid of promise. I felt that the second to
Home by the Lee.
But they were 10 lengths clear of third, and there was good horses in behind. I felt that was quite a good race, but things just didn't pan out as you would have hoped to last year, I can imagine. And I see from speaking to you that the plan now is to go back over fences.
We're certainly toying with the idea anyway. It's not concrete whether we do or not. He's still not back in full training yet, so he might end up going back Monday, all being well. Like, it's one of those. He'll get 1 or 2 runs this season, see how he's going, and if he's still underperforming to what he was, I'd say he'll end up being retired. He's a horse. He's given us our best days ever, really. Like, he won our first Grade 1, he won our first Cheltenham race. We're setting up our own place at the moment, and we have a couple of retirees there. And if he's not enjoying it and he's not running well, we'll retire him. And as someone I admire a lot, Mags O'Toole always says, when they retire, hugs and rugs, and he'll be getting plenty of them. Back home with us now.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that retirement doesn't come too soon, because like he was a real classy horse, and he still has it. It's just a case of reigniting possibly that little light under him again.
And so the last one on our list for the Open Company Chasers is the 3-time Grade 1 winner over fences last season, Gerri Colombe. Obviously, he's sort of second favourite now for the Gold Cup. Won the Faugheen at Limerick at Christmas, the City Isles over in Sandown, grade 1 in Aintree as well. Very unlucky not to be unbeaten over fences, just didn't get up in time in the RSA, another couple of strides and he had it. What's the plan for him this year? Sort of start off in a Betfair Chase or a Savills, or what are you thinking about there?
Yeah, no, Jesus, he must be. If you listen to people, he must be the slowest horse ever to win 2 grade 1s over 2.5 miles. Like, it's people are making him out to be a Grand National type horse. No, it's Gerri. Look, Jesus, he was brilliant last year. He was brilliant. He won 3 grade 1s. He was second in another one to the Real Whacker. I know we were absolutely. I remember seeing a tweet of it. You should see the faces on. I think it was by a man called Brian Galt. You should see the faces on Robcour after that, and it's probably because I was walking around with a face like a slapped arse, really. Yeah, I couldn't believe he got beat. But no, fair play to the Real Whacker. He was savage on the day. He's a great old horse, really, a great old story for connections. And no, sure, look, he put in a savage performance on the day. I'd say he's a horse people are probably sleeping on a bit this season now. He just probably doesn't really have the sex appeal that some people want to be considered a Gold Cup horse for people to talk about him as one. But Jesus, until he just keeps improving, until he's beaten, you can't count him out. About our lad, then, yeah, there's a lot of options, really. Like, you've sort of 4 races within a month's span as to where we go. You've the 2 racing down Royal, the second season novice, and obviously 3 mile grade 1. You have the Clonmel Oil, then they're actually quite close together this year. It's I think the Clonmel Oil is about 5 days after the racing down Royal. It's the Saturday to the Thursday. So I probably imagine if he's fit and ready to go at that stage, Clonmel will come out of the equation, bar the ground and down Royal is really quick. And then you have the option of the Betfair Chase as well. I think if you're looking at him, I think he's not as ground dependent as people think. If you look at his form, he's won on good to soft a couple of times. He's won on yielding. You know, he's won round. Sandown on half better ground. He's won round Thurles on better ground, which is probably people have the assumption he's a bad ground horse because he just ended up he bruised a bone that day. That's why he ended up missing the Bartlett. But no, it's not something I'd worry about, that he's a heavy ground horse. But yeah, out of those, I can't actually tell you what's the most likely at the moment. I think my preference certainly. I remember I said it to you months ago. I think it was after Aintree that Jesus, the Betfair Chase is the race for him to start off next season. And no, it's just you wouldn't be rushing into it. You're gonna have to see how the ground is. It's just looking for safe ground, really. It's not that he excels on worse ground or better ground. It's just you don't want to risk it in case he does get hurt on really, really quick ground and you end up missing targets later in the season. Yeah, you're just gonna you're gonna have to campaign him as a Gold Cup horse. Jesus, it's the reigning champ, Galloping Champ is gonna be hard to beat. He's a bit of a freak, really. I'd say he could win grade 1s at any trip. He just has that much ability. But yeah, no, it's we have no real reason to say, look, our lad is gonna be anything below. He's stepped up to the plate. I think he's 8 from 9 now, including his point now. And he's not flashy. He's a real lazy horse if people actually watch him. Like, you kind of have to be at him the whole time. He used to need a target. I think the best thing that happened for him in Sandown was a horse kicked on in front of it. I think Nico kicked on Mickey's horse. And he gave him a target to aim at, because when he used to idle a bit in front, so it's yeah, sure, look, it's he grew up then in Aintree. I think that's the day we think, yeah, this is a proper this is a horse good enough to go into these Open Company grade 1s now. It just seemed all to come together that day. And look, as I said, I can't tell you where he starts, but I can tell you what the end goal is, and the end goal is Gold Cup.
And please God, he gets there and wins it too. Be great to see Gerri in winning the Gold Cup. So that concludes our open company chasers now, and we've just flagged a couple of bumper horses that we'd like to get a couple of lines on. So the first one is Qualimita. So obviously she's a very exciting horse. She won her point to point by 30 lengths, rating a 91. There's been a lot of talk about her. Obviously, as she's only a 4-year-old, you've decided to keep her in bumpers for the year.
Yeah, no, she's Jesus, she's really exciting. I know if people actually go through and see what we buy in sales, I think we've only ever topped 2 sales, bought the top lot, her and Absolute Notions, and coincidentally the same sale last year after winning the Land Rover bumper. We don't really spend big at the sales, but Jesus, it's kind of one we were waiting. I know as you go into your novice video next, there's an awful lot of new horses, but we didn't actually buy that many that have ran on the track last year, because we're kind of picking and being a bit more picky now and looking for the real star quality. And Jesus, she showed it. She seemed to show it in abundance that day. Like she's a real good page. She's a big 60. She's well over 16 hands. Like she's out of a half sister to Colonel Mustard from the family of Mass Marvel. She's a real, Jesus, she's just a spectacular mare, really. Like she won by 30 lengths in a point to point and didn't come off the bridle. Look, we're gonna stick to bumpers just to give her a bit of time, because she's young, she's big, but when I say we're gonna aim for bumpers, it's she's really exciting. I know they're delighted with her down in Gardens, but don't go backing her for a champion bumper or anything like that. I know James is of the same opinion as myself and the boss, that we wouldn't be big fans of the champion bumper. Like she'll probably come out around November or December. She might have 2 or 3 runs. I'd say if she comes out and wins well, you could look at the Mayor's bumper at the DRF, or there's plenty of options for Mayor's bumpers, really. There's another one in Punchestown as well as Aintree. But until she goes and does it, if she won her first bumper and then won the DRF bumper, you might half consider Cheltenham, but it's probably still a no. It probably wouldn't be for us. We just think it takes a lot out of a young horse, and that's our end goal. Isn't bumpers. Our end goal is hurdling and chasing.
Yeah.
But look, if she comes out and wins that well, she could. We might give it a second thought. I'm not saying we will go there if she wins that, but you think about it.
Yeah.
So just people can save their money. Don't back her for the champion bumper. Don't back her for the Mayor's Novice. In all likelihood, she will not be going to Cheltenham this year.
Okay, fair enough. And then, so moving on to just another horse that's going to be kept in bumpers for the year, undeniable Alibi, winner of a point to point in February of this year in Punchestown, won by 4.5 lengths that day, rating 94. He's entered in a bumper in Galway on Tuesday. Is there anything you want to say about him?
Yeah, he's one he's one I'm really looking forward to this year. We bought him as a star in the Land Rover there last year. He's a full brother to a Grade 3 winner in France called Saint Fermin or Saint Fermin. I'd be lying if I said I knew which pronunciation was the right one, but won his point to point over 2.5 miles, so people know. So I'd say he might have a bit more boot than a typical point to pointer. Yeah, he's an exciting one. He's one that I'm really looking forward to seeing this year, and I'd say he's probably one to keep on side. I know he's worked well in Gordon since he's gone there, and hopefully he might end up being one of their A bumper horses this year. And look, again, same as the Mare, the long term aim is chasing and hurdling.
Fair enough. And is there any other horses then being kept to bumpers this year?
There's probably going to be one. It's a lad we bought as a store in the summer in the Land Rover. Mags O'Toole bought him. A Zarak out of a Galileo mare, would you believe it? So it doesn't scream a jumping pedigree, but look, we'll run him once in a bumper in probably February, and if he wins and he's good enough, then he'll take a chance in the old Land Rover bumper, what's now the Defender bumper in Punchestown. And so look, hopefully It's really one page wise. You'd be saying if he's not a good bumper horse, we're kind of being, it's wishful thinking he's going to be a good hurdler with that pedigree. Like, but yeah, sure. Look, he should be made for a bumper. He's a real nice horse. We had him at ours over the summer. Again, Keith O'Brien did a fantastic job looking after him. And yeah, they like him in Gordon's. He hasn't been in too long. He's probably only been there about a month. But no, the signs are nice so far. He's done everything. He's done everything all right. So it's not one I'd be advising people to punt first time out, although he'll probably be a short price. But yeah, no, it's I can't. I'd be lying if I told you he was working like a machine or anything like that, because they haven't done that much of them. And generally with those kind of bumper types, they tend not to do too much of them beforehand, because look, it's a bumper at the end of April. Like there's no real panic to be drilling them for the entire season. So to be taken slowly, easy with them, and then hopefully come out February and hopefully win well, because yeah, no, I really like him now.
Okay, and I suppose they're the new kids on the block. And just before we wrap up this podcast, I think I'd like to ask you about the retirees, the golden oldies. We've new horses coming in there in the bumpers, but have we lost any horses to retirement? And what's in store for them? What's the plan for them?
Yeah, there's a good few now. We have a couple on the farm now, so a couple of the real greats. If people remember where Robcour's roots started, these laid the foundations really. So at home we've now Teahupoo, who's a fantastic horse for James Motherway. He won a Midlands National. Again, he probably, in a similar fashion to Ain't That a Shame, he probably should have won a Munster National and got chinned on the line by a horse called Spiderweb of JP McManus. Yeah, he was a great old horse. He finished third in a Kerry National as well. He's the one that really started it all. Really, he was the beginning of the love affair. Yeah, Jesus, who else do we have there? Chris's Dream is there. I know, he's my all-time favorite horse. He's real. He flew the flag for a lot of years. He was our first grade winner over hurdles. He won a race in Clonmel first time out of grade 3, which is always a great thing for us, being our local track. He won by about 70 odd lengths that day. He was our first grade winner over fences as well. And Jesus, he won a Tri-Town, he won a Red Mills Chase, he won, Jesus, he was just some servant. Like, I love him to absolute bits. I adore the ground he walks on. And it's a pity he was run a blinder in the Fox Hunters in Punchestown. I'd say if he stayed up, he probably would have won, but unfortunately he came down the only time he ever fell. But sure, look, that's just one of those things. There's nothing the jockey could have done. It was just a mistake from the horse himself, and it's a pity he didn't go out on a winning route, but on a winning run. But yeah, no, he's there. He's my pride and joy, really. And looking forward to, as I said, give him hugs and rugs for the rest of his days. Other than that, we have Impact Factor. If people remember him, he hasn't ran in a few years now. He won a grade A and he won a grade B handicap in Ferryhouse in December before. And then we have the Mighty Poker Party, who I'm surprised isn't on Jim's on Killian's background there. he has no book in Manila Indo. He doesn't have the Great Poker Party instead. But I'll forgive him for that.
I'll just put my hands up. Like I'm not the background man. That was James, so he decided he obviously had to put in Indo. Like, he's one of the all-time greats. And
I decided
before, Notebook was probably the best jumper of a fence of all time, so he had to go in too. Like, it's an iconic photo.
I'm pretty sure it was left up to you now to decide what horses you want there, and then I put him there.
Yeah, I suppose, like, if I was given the option of 3, like yourself, I didn't know there was 3. Like, you have your man there hiding away in the corner presenting Percy. Like, so
Percy, yeah.
Like, if I'd have known there was a third, Poker would definitely be in the mix. So he was just a bit unlucky.
Yeah, no, anyway, Poker's there. He won 2 big handicaps. He won the Kerry National, which is possibly my favorite day ever on a race course. If people haven't been down to this Dole, I know it's just after running the festivals after running a couple of weeks ago now. But no, it's one you should definitely go to. It's the locals love it. The race course is always great crack. It's great crack to go out in. I know they run a fantastic show. They put on a fantastic show down there. it's my favorite race, my favorite day in a racetrack, and no, you should definitely go there if you can. It's just go there and tell people I'm here because of poker party.
Very good, very good. Look, Rob, thank you very much for taking the time to run through all these horses with us. We do really appreciate it. I'm sure the listeners do as well. And to the listeners, we'd really appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. And also let us know in the comments what you make of the interview. Apart from that, don't forget to tune in next week for part 2. We're going to be running through the novice hurdlers and novice chasers, so it'll be interesting to get the lowdown on the upcoming season and the horses that maybe people don't know as much about in comparison to these that we've spoke about today. And we'll also get 2 horses to follow from Rob for next season. So lads, until next week, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Second's been headed inside the final 150 yards. Classical Dream and Teahupoo go by. Honey Suckers going to the line.